Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Painting the Pieces. My name is Kris and I'm still at work on Solar Catwalk. I'm putting in more Payne's Gray on the skirt area there that you can see and rubbing that into the paper. If you haven't seen the first part one of this painting, this paper that I'm working on is a canvas paper and it has a lot of tooth. So I do try to rub that in with my finger or with the brush so that I'm sure that that paint is getting into the little crevices there. And I'm still working on getting the Naples yellow on that left-hand side in around the bird. I tend to make it fairly dark right next to the object so that object is sort of highlighted, and then use lots of water to move that paint around. All the paintings tend to bring their own, I guess, issues, for lack of a better word. You have an idea, a plan for something, and at least for me, it can go awry fairly quickly. And if not quickly, it does happen at some part of the process with the painting. So even as you might have seen with the very first demonstration I did with At Your Service, I completely changed the palette because once I started painting and the original palette I was using was just not going to work for that. And I never know that. I know that may sound silly, but when I do a drawing, I only have to worry about the color of the pencil, the graphite, the gray, and the white paper. And once you bring color into that, the whole thing changes for me. And it becomes lots of little ideas and changes as you go along. And I hope that works easier for other people, but that has never been my process and my understanding with painting. And I'm happy with it. I mean, it's always sort of a puzzle. It's one of the things I like about going from the drawing to the painting. And it is absolutely the way I expect it to go and the way that I approach it. And I was just saying to someone the other day, I do the drawing and stop when I'm happy with the drawing. And then you begin the painting, and at first it seems like everything is going well, and then you start to see this isn't going well. Like I said, maybe I don't like the palette, and then I just feel like I'm fighting my way out until the end. And while that part has pieces of it that are unpleasant, because I do feel out of control, I do feel that something is going on really outside what I can cause to happen, then at some point it's like climbing a mountain, and at some point you come over the other side and then you know exactly where you're going. And as you know, coming down from a mountain is much easier on muscles in your body than it can be coming up. I mean, it can be strenuous coming down, I understand that, but at least with the painting, with this analogy, coming down the other side, at least then I feel like, okay, I can manage this and I can finish it. Now, that's not to say that I haven't had paintings that I've abandoned because I kept climbing and I just couldn't see a way to go to the other side. But generally, I put those paintings aside, and I mean they can be put aside for 6 months, even a year. I don't know if I've gone longer than that, but probably I have. And I don't think about them. I do other things, and then I'll run across them as I'm going through things, and maybe I have an idea. And then I go back and I work on that. So I would say a very small percentage of paintings are lost to me, but it's always, there is a challenge to it. And if that's not a good place to be for you, maybe something else. I mean, I would do something else if I felt like the majority of the time it was not working for me. But I think, too, in watching other people work, you see things that maybe they have developed or a way that they've thought about that you haven't thought about it, and I'm still learning. I learn all the time with painting. And it's another one of the joys of it for me. If there's something new to learn, something new to see, and for the most part, artists that I've spoken with on YouTube, and I'll just talk about that because that's the platform that we're in, have been unbelievably kind to tell me, maybe you would like to try this, or maybe you would like to use this to finish it. And that's just extremely helpful of them and unselfish. And I certainly plan to go about my channel in the same way, because I don't see the reason not to. I mean, people that we think of as great artists, like Da Vinci, people at that time, artists came in under a master artist, and they had their talent and they had their ideas, but they were honed and given an understanding at a deeper level by these masters that had many more hours, decades of work in than they did. And we don't have a system like that, really, that I know of. I mean, you can take workshops and things, but it's not like having maybe year after year under someone that really understands the medium and you learning in that way. So, we have to try and get it on our own. I mean, we can go to school. I did go to school in fine art. But even then, it's not the same. It's not the same as mentorship, where you have somebody there just telling you, for you need to maybe tweak this or do that. And we have to learn on our own. And there are good sides of that, because, once you've learned something and you've figured it out on your own, you're probably not going to forget it. And you build on that. So I hope everybody that, if anyone's watching that's a beginning artist, I hope you will take something away that's very positive about that, because you can get there and you do have your own ideas. When you first come to a painting or a drawing, I guess, you have the blank sheet of paper, and whatever you put down on that paper, no one has done that before. Those are your ideas, and it is rewarding to be able to communicate in that way. So I hope that I'm at least leaving you with those kinds of ideas, and it does brighten my day. Anything that's going on in my day, if it's unpleasant or I'm feeling sad about something, art just takes me away. And I'm so grateful for that. I know that I've talked with friends that are writers, sculptors. Everyone feels that way. It is really the most positive escape. So I'm hoping that you have something creative that you like to do. It doesn't matter what it is. I know beautiful art quilters, people that make sculptures out of fabric, whatever it is. Just something that you have that you can express your feelings with. Okay, so now I've gone off on a tangent. What am I doing here? So I'm finishing off the little part around the teapot. You can see that I've gotten a lot of work done with the cat. Originally, when I drew the cat, I had this kind of bib idea in front of him, which is now kind of an orange with the burnt sienna polka dots. But originally that was going to be sort of a mane for the cat, just a white, kind of collar, but out of his fur. And as I started to paint it, I thought, well, it would be fun to have him and the lady in the painting to have the same sort of collar. This idea that, she cared about her cat and she had styled him in the same way that she was dressing. That idea just started to really appeal to me. So that's why the cat looks like he does. And I will tell you now, I'm not sure if you can see this very clearly, but I'm very unhappy with the left hand. The fingers of it were very delineated when I drew it, but when I painted it, the paint wasn't the right color. I didn't have the shading for it that I wanted. So I have left that for now, but it's in the back of my mind that I'm going to have to do something. That hand that I'm brushing on right there, I'm going to have to do something with that as I go along. And as I said, these are the kind of decisions that you make that come up, And so they're in the back of your mind while you're doing something else. I could see, too, looking at this painting, that I had a very dark area of Payne's Gray where the sun is. And I didn't want to leave it like that. You need other places in the painting that also have those dark Payne's Gray idea, kind of a sweep into that area that I wanted to do. So in the next couple minutes, you're going to see me tackle that situation. Try to get something more there. And I'm letting the paint run, as I said, so I'm using a lot of water at this point. And the thing with a lot of water, too, is that it's getting into all those little crevices of that very toothed paper. And then removing a little bit of the water that was close to the cat there. And these are all in places where I can feel like I need to work on that. And I know that. So even while I'm painting, my mind is occupied with those other things that I want to address at some point. And sometimes, like in this case, I'm painting the leaves while I'm thinking about that. So I'm not just sitting and staring at the painting, although I do a lot of that, which is the reason I'm so slow. But sometimes I think, well, I could be painting leaves while I'm thinking about this, because it's kind of a mindless thing for me. And maybe I can come up with something will occur to me. But as I said, I'm not averse to leaving the painting, too. Sometimes I just have to have them sit for a few days, and something will come to me. Still turning the paper so that I keep my hand out of the water. Of course, I do this much more with watercolor, traditional watercolor, than I do with acrylics, because it does dry at some, a little faster speed than the watercolors do. And plus I'm using, as I said, lots of water. So that's adding to the drying time there. So as I see it right now, there are two, well, maybe three problem areas for me. I want that sweep still of the Payne's Gray. I thought I'd gotten to that before now, but it's coming up. And the neck of that collar that the woman has on, and the hand. So I don't know if I've said this before too, I don't talk while I'm painting. I do a voiceover after it's finished. That's why I can say coming up, and I know what's happening. And the reason for that is I found out I tried to do that originally, and I couldn't talk and paint. I wasn't capable of doing the two things. And so that also informs me that I do a lot of thinking while I'm painting, and so the trying to narrate what I was doing was getting in the way of that. So I'm doing this instead. And lots of movement of that paper. And you can see now I have that sweep in there. So it starts at the top of the dress in that dark color, and then just runs down, literally, because I've put water on it so that it'll do that. And for me, that just works in this painting. It didn't work without it. And just be conscious of those kinds of things when you're painting. Step back, take a look at it, and say, what seems to be an issue for me? Now, someone else may look at it and say, oh, I liked it better before it had that piece. But you're creating it, so it's what you want. Anyway, there will be a part 3, because I couldn't complete it in 2 parts. I'm sorry about that. It's going to take me at least 3 videos to finish this. So please check back for part 3, and thanks so much for watching. Hope you're having a good day. Take care.